go. How's it going, everybody? Ask me anything about politics. That is what we are doing today. Ask me anything about politics. You can ask me anything that you like, and I will do my best to give you a great answer. There's no debating, there's no roasting. I am just here to answer your good faith questions. If you got good faith questions, put them in the chat, and I will do my best to give you a great answer for it. There's no debating. There's no roasting. I'm not going to tease you for not knowing things. I'm not going to roast you for not knowing things. There's no judgments here either. You don't you don't got to worry about me thinking you're going to be some sort of MAGA lunatic. You don't got to worry if I'm going to think that you're some sort of squishy liberal. There's only good faith answers to your good faith questions. That is what I am here for. What's up, Emily? Good to see you again. Yeah, I am back from tour, so we will see. We'll see what happens next week, should this platform continue to exist. But yeah, I'm back. I'm back from tour, so for the next 5 weeks, I should be back to a more regular, traditional streaming schedule. But yeah, I'm here to answer all your questions about politics. I don't believe in making people feel stupid for not knowing things, so you don't got to worry about me judging you for not knowing things. I remember when I didn't know anything about politics, I was always worried that people would think that I was stupid for not knowing things and that they would roast me. And, a couple of times those fears were very founded. And so this guy just writes MAGA with a whole bunch of hearts. That's the kind of thing that gets you blocked because I don't care if you have different opinions than me, but ask a question, be part of the conversation. Don't just spam with, your own political, propaganda. Taylor Doherty says, what do you think about tariffs? They're not great. So, there's a longer answer, but that's how I feel about them. May I ask your input on MAGA comparing Trump to Gandhi, MLK, and such because of the felonies? I mean, it's dumb. It's dumb. It's like saying, that my eyes are blue, the sky is blue, therefore I have a lot in common with the sky. It's really easy to make those kinds of dumb analogies in order to pass whatever narrative that you're trying to get accomplished. And the more people that repeat it, the more true it becomes. It becomes sort of a litmus test for how deep you are in the MAGA sauce if you repeat one of these dumb things without, any, what's the word I'm looking for? Without any reflecting on how silly of an idea it is. DC Cowboy 720, can anybody possibly spare enough for a meal for homeless? Yeah, so if anybody's got money for DC Cowboys, go ahead and give that dude money. I guess. I don't know who he is, but, he's hungry. Nerd King, the only way to hurt them is to protest the New York stock Eat the Rich. Yeah, I mean, I'm down for any legal, safe way to, make hurt rich people in their pocketbooks, but aside for voting for politicians who are going to regulate them and tax them, I don't really know what we can do. The monopolization of American, corporate life has dominated to the point where I'm not even sure that there's anything we could boycott because, it's just like 10 companies own everything, But yeah, I'm open to ideas. Let's see here. Taylor Doherty says, do you think other countries are taking of low taxes on imports? I mean, that's the problem with tariffs is that they're retaliatory, So if we put tariffs on Canada, they put tariffs on us. If we put tariffs on China, they put tariffs on us. And so it ends up hurting the GDP, especially when the rest of the country is engaging in free trade. We just kind of get left behind. That's the reason why we are behind China in green technology. Okay, Rich Not Wealthy says corporations are much better at allocating resources than governments. Proven 100%. No, that has not been proven 100%. Rich Not Wealthy. That is inaccurate. I don't know why you would spread misinformation like that. I hope that you are just misinformed and not, what do you call it? This Scott person is getting blocked. Let's see here. I got an unstable internet connection, so you'll have to... Yeah, it looks like I'm lagging, Ninja. Yeah. Alright, hopefully I'm back. Hopefully I'm back to answer all of your questions. Cho Gangsta says, how does a grassroots movement become successful? I guess it would serve us to look at successful grassroots organizations from the past. Like let's look at what the civil rights movement did, what MLK did. You know, I think all that stuff can be very informative. Well, excuse me. I think that making sure that the people understand that this is a marathon and not a sprint, I think is probably very important for whatever grassroots organization you are trying to start or trying to support. You got to be in it for the long run, and you got to meet people where they are, and you need to have really good communication strategies. You got to be okay with getting arrested also, because that happened to MLK and MLK supporters as well. You also got to be okay with being demonized in whatever circles don't want whatever it is that you are selling. So if you are the kind of person who is talking about taxing the rich, then you got to expect that the media companies that are owned by rich people and the social media companies that are heavily influenced by billionaire money, those narratives are coming for you, and you got to be prepared for that. But yeah, I think starting small, making sure that you have good people in places of authority, and don't go over your skis. Like if you are just talking about taxing the rich, don't all of a sudden start talking about why so and so is racist or something like that. Like that to me seems to be a way to you don't want to be spinning too many plates, I guess. Mello says, wishing you the best of luck in the upcoming dictatorship. Yeah, I'm worried about that as well. Will Brophy, Trump's inauguration has been moved indoors due to lack of crowd sizes. Didn't they move in because it was really cold? Let's see here. Adam Beauchamp, let's see here, asks, what's your qualifications for answering political questions? I know a lot about it. I read a lot. I pay a lot of attention to the news and to politics. Let's see here. I have a serious question. Is TikTok really going dark? And if so, how many days? So I've heard conflicting reports about this. I heard that the Biden administration is leaving the final decision up to the Trump administration. I think there was an executive order signed by the Biden administration that put a hold on the ban for 90 days. You should all double check that though, because I think I just saw one story, and again, I've been on the road, so I haven't had my finger to the pulse as closely as I would like. But yeah, I mean, ultimately the decision comes down to Donald Trump. So it just depends on who bribes him the best. If Mark Zuckerberg bribes him the best, then, TikTok is going away because Mark Zuckerberg wants TikTok to go away. If somebody else, if Musk wants to buy it and, he's able to grease the right palms, then Musk is going to buy it. It just really depends. It's definitely, here's the thing. This is the reason why I don't think anybody should have voted for Trump was the argument of whether or not it's going to stay or not has nothing to do with whether or not it'd be good for the country for it to stay or not. It just has to do with who's going to bribe him the best. Shep52 says, give Trump his 100 days before criticizing him. No, I don't think so. He's already been doing a bunch of dumb shit. He's already, nominated more billionaires to his cabinet. It is the richest cabinet in history. I don't think that we need to not criticize that. I think that it is demonstrative of what a shitty campaign and administration he is going to have. So you can miss me with that. I'm also judging him based on his first 4 years. He didn't suddenly become a good president after his first term. In the last 4 years, he wasn't hitting the books, taking president lessons, He's the exact same piece of shit that he was in 2020, Let's see here. $125 says, why is Trump saying he wants to save TikTok now when 4 years ago he wanted to ban it due to national security? Because he's a liar and he's corrupt and there's no consistency to his morality or to his beliefs whatsoever. He just goes wherever the wind takes him and he follows the money. If somebody with a lot of money is bribing him to do one thing, then he'll do that thing, even if he said he wasn't going to do it the day before. He will give 2 speeches on 2 separate days where he says the opposite of what he said in the previous speech. He's a liar, he's corrupt. I don't know what else to tell you guys. If you are surprised that Trump is flip-flopping and going back on things that he said already, I don't know what to do for you, my man. Coffee says, money, what proof do you have? What proof do I have of what, Coffee? Mello says, if the U.S. makes it to 2028, I will be so proud of this country. I mean, it depends on how the midterms go. You know, if we make the 2028 and then we don't give Democrats more power, then I will continue to be disappointed in this country. Let's see here. Okay, Platitude Shelf says, what's the difference between bitching and complaining, poli-sci, and what is actual politics? I guess actionable items, you know, like if you are just saying, you know, like we need to tear down the system and then not giving any actionable items for people to accomplish. If you don't actually have any solutions to problems, if you're just bitching and moaning, I think that is probably, you know, the difference between activism and, you know, social media, you know, complaining, whining, that sort of thing. Interverse, can you talk about how we need to be united instead of saying red versus blue? I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that, Interverse, because I go hard against the Republican Party, but I am clear that the enemy is not the Republican voters. And, you know, we can be annoyed and we can say, like, man, those guys really got conned. They got tricked. They fell for the oldest trick in the book. And they voted for the most corrupt piece of shit, the most blatantly obvious liar of all time. We can be annoyed by that. But at the end of the day, they are also citizens, and they are also the people that we need to unite with in order to stop the worst excesses of the Trump administration. But yeah, I think that we need to be clear about who the enemies are, and the enemy is the billionaire class, our corporate overlords, and the Republican Party that is in league with them. Let's see here. Just Sports 11 says, what about Biden lying? Well, I'm not really aware of any substantive examples of Biden lying, but if I'm going to get mad at politicians lying, like there is a massive list of people that I am more upset about. I am more upset about the, you know, million Trump lies than I am about whatever one or two lies Biden said that probably were of no consequence. Over on Twitch, Fen the Monster Floof says hello. Fen the Monster Floof says, I disagree. I think after Elon Musk bought Twitter, Trump has come to understand the value of social media platforms. I think we'll see a strong effort to defeat TikToks from China, though. I'm not really sure what you mean that we'll see a strong effort to defeat TikTok from China, because it is in China's interest to not defeat TikTok, because that is, you know, China is deeply involved in TikTok. But yeah, I don't think that he suddenly saw the value of social media platforms. I think that he saw that the TikTok ban could be blamed on Democrats, and he saw that young people like TikTok, and so he thought that he could chip away some votes from the Democrats by saying that he was going to save TikTok. But here, the proof is in the pudding. You know, the ultimate decision comes down to him on whether or not TikTok gets banned. So, you know, well, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. Mark Golden, ownership you. Is Trump saving TikTok just a way to get people to be cool with a power grab? No, I think that, you know, I don't see TikTok going away or staying as being either good or bad for Trump's presidency. I think it'll have zero effect on it. What I do see the effect of will be Trump's pocketbook, where he will make money if it either gets banned or does not get banned. And depending on who pays him the best or bribes him the best or makes the clearest case for him on why it's in his best interest to either keep it or get rid of it, that is what is going to be the deciding factor. Okay, Zoe says, wild speculation. Yeah, but I mean, I have a lot of data to back it up, so you can miss me with that. Mark Golden, ownership you. Does he have the power in a constitutional sense? I believe that he could just instruct his DOJ to not enforce the ban. And I believe, and again, double check this because I only read the headline because I've been traveling. So I believe there was a story that came out recently that said that Biden signed an executive order that said that the TikTok ban is not going to affect it for 90 days, meaning that Trump has 90 days to decide whether or not he wants to keep it or not. So I believe that is the mechanism by which he has ultimate control over that. Beast Sav 57, how are you going to support multi-million-dollar career politicians but call Trump corrupt? Who are you talking about? Who am I supporting that is a multi-million-dollar career politician? First of all, no human is as corrupt as Trump. That is his ethos. That is like it's his mana. It's his life force being corrupt. I don't know if there's any other human being on the planet that is more corrupt than him. So saying that I support somebody who's more corrupt than Trump, it's factually impossible. Yeah, Pelosi is not as corrupt as Trump. Biden is not as corrupt as Trump. Yeah, not even close. Beast Sav, there were, all these House hearings led by Republicans trying to find some evidence against Biden, and they found zero. So I don't know what you're talking about. Coffee says executive order. So if Trump did that, he's corrupt. No, I didn't say that. I don't know what you're talking about, Coffee. Let's see here. Beast Sav says, in your eyes. No, it's, these are not opinions that I'm stating up here. Chief J. Strongbow says, he's still thinking it's left and right. Wake up, da. Again, it's not about left versus right as far as the population is concerned. It's about the politicians, Democratic politicians do better for people than Republican politicians do. The Democratic Party has a better platform than the Republican Party does. I am not saying that the voters are your enemy. And if I'm being real here, we should all be extremely skeptical of any creator who is talking about the voters specifically. Like I saw this one creator saying, like, have y'all ever noticed that Trump voters are uglier than other people? That person I would be extremely suspicious of, because it seems like that person is trying to stoke the divisions between the voters as opposed to calling out the differences between the politicians and the parties. If you have somebody on the right who's talking about how all Democratic voters are stupid, then, I would be extremely suspicious of that person, because it seems like they are trying to start a fight between the voters as opposed to calling out the differences between the political parties and the politicians themselves. Jesse Jacobs, the Democrats are way more corrupt. They literally let millions of people in to try and win an election. That's not true at all. The Democrats, yeah, you're spamming the comments with your bullshit, Jesse Jacobs. So guess what? You are out of here, my man. I've been traveling, so I don't have the energy to bat away every piece of Republican propaganda that comes across my desk here. Spoof Rat over on Twitch. I think people are seeing the world that American propaganda doesn't show them. For example, people going from TikTok to Red Note and seeing that they can actually afford groceries. How do you think all this will affect people living in the United States? I mean, the problem is propaganda in general. Like, you can't trust any social media. You can't trust things that you see on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Blue Sky, on Red Note. You can't trust any of it, because it is easy to manipulate people using the social media algorithms, and it is easy to manipulate the algorithms if you have a lot of money. And the people that have a lot of money are the real enemies. Like, they're the ones that are trying to divide people and create chaos, disinformation, misinformation. Like, all of that serves the end results of what rich people want. And so, if you're seeing on Red Note that things are so much better in China, I would be extremely skeptical of that. And if you're seeing on Facebook that America is the greatest country in the world, and everybody's happy and Trump is doing an amazing job, like, you got to be extremely suspicious of that. I think it's much more about chaos and misinformation and disinformation as opposed to spreading one specific narrative. Okay. Lovey says, do you think Meta bought a stake in TikTok to get in on online sales? No, I think they probably just, they want to control the social media space as much as humanly possible. Beast Sav, Trump's the only president to lose net. Yeah, that's a lie. Beast Sav, you're doing nothing but spreading lies. You're out of here. Oh, excuse me, everybody. T-Bone Tone, how have your shows been going? The shows were 95% amazing. There were a couple that were meh, but most of them were very, very good. And I am glad that I have 5 weeks off to recover, because tour is exhausting. But the shows were great. I'm very pleased with how the shows went. Daft and Spurious Backup says, what are the 4 ways that laws are created? Sometimes people ask me questions because they want to know things, and sometimes people ask me questions because they're testing me. And I'm much less inclined to answer the questions of people that are testing me. Because you can ask me questions, you cannot ask me questions, but I am not here to prove that I'm some sort of political genius, Let's see here. Ms. Martha to you. Do you agree with each state having different laws? I mean, I don't know. It's difficult because states can vary wildly with the kind of industries that are there. California probably needs different laws regarding water distribution than a state like Texas or Mississippi or something like that. But at the same time, we're also watching the damage that can happen when things like abortion are left up to states to decide. So, it's a complicated issue. I don't think that it's one size fit all, like everything should be federal or everything should be by the states, but I think that we need to recognize where having state law supersede federal law is in the best interest of the citizens, and having federal law supersede state law being in the best interest of the citizens. So yeah, I think it's complicated. User a whole bunch of numbers. CNN has an article from 2020 that he was worth less than before he got into office. Well, I do not believe that even for a second. User a whole bunch of numbers. I didn't see that article. But I am extremely skeptical because rich people have a way of hiding money. And the grift that was going on during the Trump administration in his first 4 years was obvious. It was happening out in the open. I don't buy it for a fucking second. I don't even know the mechanisms by which that would happen. How did he lose money when he had, fucking oligarchs from other countries spending millions of dollars at his fucking hotels just so that they could get an ear with him? We know that he got money from Saudi Arabia and from Egypt. Where's the evidence? Let's see here. Drunken Slav says, hello, Spoof Rat. I try to take things with a pinch of salt and do my own research. I think things are changing, though. Things are always changing, but man, I'm not sure where the line of demarcation is. Nikita Bizyak, is it fair for hardworking Americans to be financially obligated to fund social programs? I think that every American should be responsible for funding social programs. I think that the more money you make, the more you should be responsible for funding it. And so, if a hardworking American means, somebody who is poor, then I think that their percentage that they are obligated to put into welfare programs should be a lot less, something manageable as well. And billionaires can afford to fund these programs by themselves, so we should tax them, up their fucking ass. Let's see here. Drunken Slav, are you discussing China? I love Chinese. Their progressive literature is amazing. I don't know a lot about the culture or government of China. I know a little bit, but not enough to speak, confidently on the subject. I hate what my hair is doing today. Let's see here. Joe Wethington, do you think politics will go back to normal after Trump is gone? No, I think that so long as we have right-wing propaganda drenching everybody in this country to the tits, then yeah, no, I don't think that politics is going to go back to normal anytime soon. Bones, thoughts on abolishing the Electoral College? I am for it, and we're actually very close to making that happen. If you live in a swing state, you need to call your reps and tell them that you want your state to sign up for the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. The National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. I'm saying it 3 times to make sure that it registers. You need to call up your reps and tell them that you want your state to sign up for the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. If we get enough states to sign up for the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, then the Electoral College will essentially be abolished. So yeah, do that, everybody. Regular dude, so you put in more, but you qualify for less. Who would want to contribute to that? I'm not really sure what you're talking about there, regular dude, but if you're talking about like rich people having to pay more in taxes than poor people, there are mechanisms by which rich people paying more in taxes makes a lot of sense. Like they get the benefit of having a road built more than the worker that drives on that road because the employer needs that road to get his employees to and from. He needs that road to get his product to and from. So yeah, it makes sense that if they're going to use a road more, that they would have to pay more money for it. The police largely take care of the wealthy people and wealthy neighborhoods more than they take care of poor people. So yeah, it makes sense that they would put more money into that. Additionally, it's a little bit selfish to be like, just because a rich person is never going to be on welfare doesn't mean that they shouldn't have to put into welfare. Like, there are benefits to everybody to not have people dying in the street of starvation and exposure, and just because you might not be able to see the connection doesn't mean that that does not exist. I am not living on the streets, but I do not like seeing people living on the street. And so I am happy to contribute to social programs that keep people from having to live on the street. Regular dude, just because someone is selfish doesn't give you the right to rob them. Well, you're the one that's saying that it's robbing, regular dude. And also, you're this close to getting banned because you're not asking questions. You're trying to debate me, and I don't do debates. Let's see here. All right. Dird313 over on Twitch says hello. Hello back, Dird. Tony, how many states to date have signed to ban the Electoral College? I don't know how many states, but I think the number of electoral votes that have been accumulated is something like 220. It's like in that area. So we're very close. Like we only need a handful more of the swing states to sign up, and then we got it, Let's see here. How do you feel about the Austrian painter? I think you're talking about somebody whose initials are AH, and I don't care for that fellow or his followers. Digi says, why was Kamala such an atrocious candidate for president? I don't think she was an atrocious candidate for president. I think she did a really good job in the time that was given to her. I don't know if anybody could have done a better job. Let's see here. In 107 days. I don't know that any human being could have done a better job in 107 days. Sieber says, just send the governor a signed blank check, then they will be happy. I mean, if you're a billionaire, yeah, go ahead and do that. But everybody else is struggling, so I'm not going to tell a person who's making $30,000 a year to send a blank check to the government. Roofing Savvy says, is Trump focused on shutting down the government again? I mean, the mechanisms of government are useful to Trump in that he can con and grift a whole bunch. Chaos is useful to Trump and Republicans because it makes people feel fearful for themselves and for their security. And when people are fearful for themselves and their security, then Republicans tend to do better in elections. So yeah, he shut down the government when he was president. He'll probably shut down the government again. Pick your thing that would make life difficult for average, everyday, working class citizens, and Trump will do it. I gotta put on this hat because my hair is bugging me. Sorry, everybody. I know there's mixed reviews on whether or not my hat is cool, but I gotta do it. I hate my hair right now. Warren Adams, what do you think about Trump? Yeah, he's one of the biggest pieces of shit to have ever existed. Joe Wethington, opinion on bank bailouts as it relates to politics. I mean, I think that there's an argument that could be made that the bailouts were useful in that they did not contribute to the chaos of furthering like institutions crumbling that were holding people's mortgages and retirement plans and shit like that. Now that being said, I think that there is value to letting corporations go out of business because then maybe a whole bunch of little corporations can spring up from the aftermath. It just depends on what people's appetite is for chaos, and if people can, if we have these social services in place to help people navigate, if the bank that they, that their mortgage and their retirement plan and their savings account, their checking account, and where they get their cash to pay for groceries and gas suddenly just like closes overnight, like they're going to need to be services for people so that those people don't starve and they can put gas in their cars and shit like that. But yeah, I mean, on a theoretical level, I'm for it. Like fuck the giant monopolies. If they mishandle billions of dollars to the point where they can no longer exist, yeah, fuck them. But you cannot ignore the fact that things like that do hurt people. Oof. Drunken Slav, I have a question regarding American institution education, if I can ask it. Yeah, go ahead, Drunken Slav. Ray G says, thoughts on Russ Coolhurt whistleblower tonight. I don't know who that is. I haven't seen that story yet. Sorry. Let's see here. Nikita Bizyak, given that 75 countries have attempted and failed socialism, why is the youth so aroused by it? I am skeptical of that data point, Nikita, because the 75 countries have attempted and failed socialism. I do not believe that we have ever seen a socialist country. I know that we've seen countries that have called themselves socialist, but I don't think that we've ever actually seen a socialist country. Countries that call themselves socialist tend to actually be dictatorships and oligarchies. But yeah, and also socialism is not like a, it's not an all or nothing kind of a thing. There are socialist principles that exist in this country, like, using taxpayer dollars to pay for things that benefit everybody. Like, that's socialism. Universal healthcare that we see in every other industrialized nation besides America is a socialist concept, a socialist precept, whatever you want to call it. I think that this country could stand to be more socialist. I don't think I've seen a country that could stand to be less socialist. I've seen countries that need to be less oligarchies and need to be less gerontocracies and need to be less kleptocracies and less dictatorships. But I haven't seen a country that needs to be less socialist. Swede B says Denmark is happiest country. Yeah, exactly. CJ, what about democratic socialism? That's literally what we're talking about here. Like the Bernie Sanders wing of the Democratic Party, or what some people would refer to as the Democratic Socialists. I think Bernie calls himself that. I think AOC calls herself that. Let's see here. Carmine, what are the chances we don't stop being an oligarchy? It just depends on if people do the work. If citizens do the work, if Republicans in power stand up to Trump, which I don't have a lot of faith in that happening. But yeah, if people do the work and vote against, oligarchy-friendly politicians, if we're able to mobilize and unify in a way to fight the oncoming authoritarianism and oligarchy of the Trump presidency, then we will survive it. I'm not here to make a prediction. I'm just here to tell people how to do it, Let's see here. Nikita Bizyak, doesn't free stuff take away from the quality and innovation aspect of it, relating to Universal? I mean, I guess an argument could be made, Nikita, but the proof is in the pudding, like the countries that have universal healthcare, they do better in healthcare outcomes. And also, people don't end up starving because they can't afford food because they're spending it all on medicine. People don't kill themselves because they had to ration their antidepressants. People don't die because they were rationing or watering down their insulin in those countries. So yeah, the outcomes are better. People complain about wait times in Canada. I don't know if you ever tried to find a fucking specialist here in America, but in addition to having to wait your turn to get seen by that specialist, there's also the time that you have to waste going to see your primary care doctor, getting a referral, getting that referral approved by the insurance company. And, I've been through this fucking thing time and time again where you make the appointment and then they didn't get the referral, but they have to do a preemptive authorization. The preemptive authorization didn't get through because they didn't get this document from that doctor. So you got to call that doctor up and you got to get them to fax that to that person. Then you got to call up the insurance company to make sure that they got it. Because stuff like that falls through the cracks all the time. And it did for me many, many times. So yeah, the effort, the time, the money, it is all worse in our current system. All right, Bizyak, Nikita Bizyak. Thank you for pronouncing my name correctly. Thank you for asking questions, Nikita. Let's see here. Germicidal tendencies. What is an oligarchy definition of? So as far as I can tell, I don't know if the official definition has anything to do with wealth. I think the official definition has to do with just the entire country is controlled by a small group of people. So, instead of it just being like a dictatorship, it is, a dictatorship and his 8 closest buddies, like shit like that. At the moment, we're looking at a billionaire and tech oligarchy, meaning that the richest Americans and the people in control of tech industries are the ones that are controlling and making all the decisions and running the country, essentially. Let's see here. I'm pretty sure I'm correct about that, but feel free to, Feel free to, fact check me in the comments. Let's see here. Yeah, Drunken Slav, I'm still waiting for your question. Still waiting for your question, buddy. You said you had a question about American education. Still waiting on it. All right. Carmine, where will you be streaming after the ban? I already multicast onto YouTube and Twitch as well as TikTok. I do get the majority of my questions from TikTok, so, the quality of the stream will change drastically if it goes away. If it does go away, I hope that you guys will follow me onto Twitch and YouTube, and will ask your great questions there, because these streams go better when I have something to talk about. But yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen with the TikTok ban. Nobody does. It's, it's the fucking Wild West. And that's the reason why I told people not to vote for Trump, because I think that it's better to not live in the Wild West. Tony, if Electoral College was banned, many more voters would be incentivized to vote in solidly red or blue states. Completely agree with that, Tony. The reasons to get rid of the Electoral College are many. So, yeah. Drunkenslav, I was told by an American that you guys aren't told about the silent Holocaust. Is that really true? Also, Americans seem to be moving to Red Note. Why aren't you? Oof, excuse me. The reason why I'm not moving to Red Note is because TikTok got banned because of potential Chinese influence over Americans, information diet, and also potentially taking all of their data. If TikTok gets banned and then everybody moves over to Red Note, the government's just going to ban Red Note next because it could be guilty of the exact same things. We have no idea. So yeah, that's why I'm not moving to that. And you'll have to forgive my historical ignorance, but can you tell me more about the silent Holocaust? Because I can imagine that being a couple of different things. And history. I'm not a history major, so it's definitely not my strong suit. I'm more of an expert in contemporary American politics than history or foreign politics. Let's see here. Nikita Bizyak, Red Note is also Chinese owned. That's not the best alternative. Yeah, exactly. Kyle Ross says, just ignoring my question. I didn't see your question, Kyle Ross. Oh, Kyle Ross says, what is China's political system? China, I believe, says that they are a democracy, but I believe the Chinese. Well, hold on a second. So there's the Chinese Communist Party that is, again, foreign governments are not my specialty. They do have elections, but I believe that the president of China, the prime minister of China, declared himself like president for life or something like that. So I think he might be done with elections, him specifically. So yeah, yeah. Again, I already told you guys that I was not an expert at that, so I did my best to answer it for you. Annette Hillison, does he mean history repeating itself? I don't know what you mean by history repeating itself, Annette. Let's see here. All right. Okay. Joe Wetherington says, chances on credit card interest being limited at 10% with support from Bernie and Trump. I don't ever count on Trump doing a good thing. Because he is a corrupt piece of shit who lies a whole lot. So do I think that he could potentially work with Biden to cap interest rates, credit card interest rates at 10%? I wouldn't put money on it. Now, that being said, sometimes Trump does things that are good because somebody told him to do it that he has more respect for. Like, he signed a prison reform bill when he was in office the first time because Kim Kardashian told him to. He didn't do any work to create that bill or pass that bill through Congress. All he did was sign it, and the only reason why he signed it was because Kim Kardashian told him to. So, yeah, could a similar thing happen? Potentially, I don't know. But, yeah, I will never put money on Trump doing the right thing. Let's see here. Timothy Waterman says, hi. Let's see here. Swedeby says, we used to be able to claim credit card debt on our taxes. Did we? I didn't know about that. But also, that seems perfectly reasonable to me, Carmine, can you give your everybody does a little bit of work speech? I gotta get back to work. Sure thing. So here's my everybody does a little bit of work speech is, people think that blue states are going to be immune from the damage of the Trump administration, or that because they live in a red state that nobody's going to vote for Democrats, and therefore knocking on doors, talking to people, like activism isn't going to do anything. But there is work to be done everywhere. There's work to be done in deep blue states. There's work to be done in red states. And the only way that we get through the next 4 years is if we all do the work of surviving the next 4 years. That means supporting organizations that are doing the good work of protecting our democracy, protecting people's rights, and helping people survive the worst excesses of the Trump administration. Indivisible, Vote Save America, Run for Something, Fair Fight. There are tons of organizations. You don't have to start your own organization. You can just do the work. You can do filing. You can knock on doors. You can talk to people in real life about politics. Like, that is the work of changing people's minds and making sure that we have the votes to save America in 2028, in 2026 and beyond. Now, that's the work that we need to do, because Republicans have so much power right now that they could potentially begin rigging elections in their favor. So we need to win elections by such a large margin that their cheatery will have no effect. And that is the work of all of us. And if we all do a little bit of work, then nobody has to do a lot of work. You know, I did 4 canvassing and phone banking shifts before the last election. And the reason why I did 4 was because I'm sure that there are people out there who couldn't even do 1. So the more work that we all do, the less work that everybody else has to do. If everybody does a little bit of work, then nobody has to do all the work or a lot of work, and there's work to be done everywhere. So if this is the sort of thing that you care about, then do the work. Then join us in doing the work. And doing the work is not posting online. It is not retweeting things. That stuff has very little effect at moving the needle, because the information spaces are largely controlled by the people who want us to be divided. They are largely controlled by people who want to spread misinformation and disinformation. They are largely controlled by people that want to elect Republican politicians. So there is nothing that we can do as citizens to move these algorithms. What we can do, though, is talk to people. We can talk to people in real life, our neighbors, our friends, our family, knocking on doors for political organizations. Like, all that stuff helps. I think that's the speech you're talking about. Carmine, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Nikita Bizyuk says, would you give credit to Trump for bringing peace to the Middle East? No U.S. soldier dead in 18 months. Absolutely not, Nikita. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. And I have a longer speech about that, Nikita. But I'm going to try to get to some of these other comments before I give that speech. If I forget and I don't get back to it, remind me, Nikita. Leo Ben Linus, strange that connection to Chinese culture is having us realize that our culture is vastly lesser. Interesting. I don't know. I don't know if I would agree with that. Let's see here. Kyler, Grace, Ava, public and private, Article 1, Article 3, Supreme Court. I don't know what that means. Swede B, yes, I did. Maybe Reagan changed it when he made profit sharing into penalized 401s. I believe it, Swede. I just didn't know about it. Ashton Long, what would you want the government to be? I think probably closer to what Norway has. That seems to be a better situation than what we have. Let's see here. But he did... Rattlebug says, but he did create peace in the Middle East, like it or not. Yeah, no, that's not true at all. And I'm getting to that. Don't worry, but I got questions on the other platforms as well. Flonk Sauce, what's going on? Good to see you again. Bernie should offer Grump his mittens. That's pretty funny. Timothy Waterman says, I think Trump will be better than Biden. I don't. And, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But I have a lot of evidence to suggest that that is not going to be the case. It's the Rocketeer. Speaking of working with new organizations, are you familiar with the Working Families Party? I am familiar with the Working Families Party. It's the Rocketeer. That is the only third party that I think is doing the right thing and building up local, state, and city support before they start trying to run people for president. They're building up the infrastructure. I like the Working Families Party a lot. They're doing the work. I admire them. The Green Party and Libertarian Party can go kick rocks as far as I'm concerned. Let's see here. Oreo 20. Trump is for himself, not you. Completely agree with that. All right, Nikita. Here we go. Are you ready? Here's my big speech about why Trump does not deserve any credit for peace in the Middle East. Okay. Number 1. It is because the Middle East exploded as soon as he left office. Why did the Middle East explode as soon as he left office? Well, he did a whole bunch of things to incite more division and chaos in that region just as he was leaving office. He gave Afghanistan to the Taliban. He freed a whole bunch of Taliban fighters that did not have to. His peace deal was him giving Afghanistan to the Taliban, and he also, as part of that peace deal, he told the Taliban that we would be out of there in an unreasonably short amount of time. Biden extended that time a little bit, but because the deal was already done, the Taliban was not taking kindly to that, and so that they were advancing on our military as they were retreating, which made the whole thing much more chaotic. The people that died in Afghanistan during the Biden administration, number one, it was less than during the Trump administration, and number two, it is his fault. It is his fault for creating that framework just as he was leaving office. He fucking threw a bunch of lit, oily rags into that region and then threw a lit fire in there just as he was leaving office. Additionally, he did a lot to inflame tensions between Hamas and Israel. He left Palestine out of the Abraham Accords. He moved the embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. All of those things were kicking sand into the face of the Palestinian citizens, which was giving more power and, making people angrier. Sorry, it was giving more power to Hamas and making the people of Palestine angrier. He also assassinated an Iranian general named Hassan Soleimani. That inflamed tensions in the region. Also, our embassies were not staffed during his time in office, which meant that we were not able to do the soft power of American diplomacy, which also inflamed tensions in that region. And that infrastructure took time to build back up. So the Biden administration was not able to repair all of those burnt bridges by the time their 4 years was up. And especially after they, no longer had, the House. And losing the House meant that there were a lot fewer things that they were able to do, that they were able to accomplish. Trump left the Iran nuclear deal. He canceled naturalization with Cuba. He left the Paris Climate Accords. Like, he was kicking sand in the face of our allies and giving assistance to adversarial nations like Russia and North Korea. And are you surprised that there was more global conflict and tension after he left office than when he took office? It is his fault. He did it. His fucking shitty-ass, inexperienced, incompetent State Department made bad decisions. They did bad things, and now we are all suffering the consequences for it. And here's the other thing, is that the Netanyahu government is also a far-right wing government. And so the Netanyahu government was incentivized to continue kicking sand in the face of the people of Palestinians so that those wars would continue to rage on. It would look bad for Biden, and then his buddy Trump would get elected, and then, he would have carte blanche to do whatever he wants. I would not be surprised. I know that they're talking about a peace deal between Hamas and Israel. First of all, Netanyahu has not signed that deal yet. And number two, Netanyahu could restart that war at any time, and Trump's not going to fucking say boo about that shit. He's not going to give a fuck about it. Any excessive force that happens to the people of Palestine committed by Israel, like, you think Trump's going to give a shit about stopping that? Absolutely not, man. So, yeah, there you go. There's my super long speech about why Trump does not get credit for bringing peace to the Middle East, because not only did he not do it, he inflamed tensions in that area and around the world in general. Badger75, thoughts on Trump selling crypto? It is just another way for him to be corrupt and for people to give him a lot of money. It's a way for people to bribe him. There you go. There's an emoluments clause in the Constitution that says that the president cannot be doing business or making money off the presidency. And Trump has been guilty of it his entire first 4 years in office, and he's going to continue to be guilty of it his next 4 years in office. Let's see here. Akshay, are your political views the comedy routine? No, they're not, Akshay. And I think I remember you from last time, and so I'm not going to put up with any of this nonsense anymore. Let's see here. All right, we are almost at an hour. Let's see here. Dan Blackroyd, he did more drone strikes in 4 years than Obama did in 8. Is that true about Trump? I didn't know that. Badger75, I already did that one. Swede B, it takes time for Democrats to repair the damage of Republican administrations. They don't get cred. Completely agree with that. No lies detected. Let's see here. Dan Blackroyd, embassy to Jerusalem. Didn't I say that? I thought I said that. Yeah. Emily, I firmly believe he will do 10 times more and worse shit in the next 4 years. I'm terrified. I completely agree with that, Emily. And We got to take care of each other. We got to help each other. Nobody lets go of anyone's hand, as the expression goes. And we got to keep our heads on a swivel, Let's see here. Mystic3777 says, Trump did lots of nefarious stuff policies before he left office last time. That caused the hurts. Yeah, again, no lies detected. All right, we are at almost an hour, and my numbers are down. Normally they are higher now as far as like people that are watching. And there are fewer questions coming in. So I'm going to start wrapping up. I'm going to do my outro, and then if we get any good final questions, I will answer those. Tyler Burns, thoughts on Kash Patel? He's an unbelievable piece of shit. He's a Trump sycophant. He's a liar. If he gets director of the FBI, then it is literally just going to be an arm of the Trump administration. The Department of Justice is supposed to be separate from the executive branch, and Trump is not going to allow that separation to exist. He's going to tell Kash Patel to start investigations into all of his political enemies, and that's not the way that the FBI is supposed to work. The FBI is supposed to follow evidence and, go after people that they think are guilty of crimes, not just whoever the president told you to investigate or open a case against. Benjamin Allen, so I take it you're a Democrat. Yes, I am a Democrat. JFK is goaded. Any chance that the TikTok ban is repealed or extended? Yeah, it just depends on who bribes Trump the best. If the people that want TikTok to exist bribe Trump better than the people who don't want TikTok to exist, then TikTok will continue to exist. That's the end of the story. Let's see here. It's the Rocketeer says, awesome, I just had my first meeting with Working Families Party, and we're working on gaining ground in SoCal. That's awesome, It's the Rocketeer. I love hearing that. Drunken Slav, I think it's good Americans aren't looting Afghanistan anymore personally. I mean, that's very difficult. It's a very difficult question politically, It's like we were there to try to protect the Afghanistan government from being overrun by the Taliban. We did not do a good job of that, and also the Afghanistan government did not do a good job of that. It is a very complicated situation, and to blame either the incompetence of the American military or the government or the government of Afghanistan or the Taliban, like it's a little myopic. Like a lot of the assistance that we tried to give to the Afghanistan government just got lost in corruption, I believe, if I'm remembering the story correctly. But yeah, I've listened to, 2-part podcast series about this, and it's not as cut and dry as America fucked up or Afghanistan fucked up or anything. If anything, I would put this more to, I would blame the George W. Bush administration because they had a surrender deal with the Taliban that they threw in the garbage because they wanted to annihilate them or something, and then they didn't get annihilated. So, but again, that's stuff. If I didn't just hear the foreign policy stuff, then I tend to get it a little bit mixed up in the old noodle. So, I'm much more on point with American politics than foreign affairs. Let's see here. All right. Badger75, I enjoyed your content if I never see you again. Well, I'm other places, Badger. You don't have to, just because, if TikTok goes away, I don't cease to exist. Let's see here. All right. So I'm going to do my outro and then I'll go through and see if there's any good, last questions. I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank all the likes, all the shares, all the gifts, all the comments. The comments are what make these lives possible. So if TikTok goes away, I hope that you guys will follow me on Twitch or YouTube and provide all these excellent comments and questions there instead. My website, jaredbernstein.com, is another great place to go if you want to follow me off of this platform. I appreciate any support that you can give me, whether it's the free kind, like likes and shares, or if you can afford to join my Patreon or buy things on my Spring store or send gifts on TikTok, all that stuff helps me to continue to be able to do these live streams. My regular live streaming schedule is Tuesday through Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That is subject to change, but for the next 5 weeks, that is most likely going to be my schedule because I am back from tour. I am back. I am here in my home. I am having a regular schedule again, which I fucking love so much. It is. I'm so hype. I'm so hype about streaming regularly, during the week. So yeah, keep an eye out. My website will have the schedule of my streaming if it ever changes from Tuesday through Friday, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I also will tend to make events on TikTok so that people can find me there. Let's see here. If you had a question that I was not able to get to, my DMs are open, and also you can reach out to me through my website, jarrettbernstein.com. I get emails through there that you should be able to find pretty easy. Let's see here. And yeah, just don't be despondent. Don't be cynical. The game is not over, and not every politician is corrupt. Not every political party is the same. There is work to be done no matter where you live. And if we all do a little bit of work, then nobody has to do a lot of work. We get through this by doing the work and taking care of each other. No one lets go of anyone's hand. All right, let's get to some final questions. Let's see here. Oreo20, why do Republicans bow down to Trump? He is nobody, question mark? He is a unique political figure in that he was famous for being extremely wealthy even when he wasn't extremely wealthy. He was famous for being a good businessman even when he wasn't a good businessman. His TV show helped that as well, The Apprentice. They edited that to make it look like he was better at business and smarter than he actually was. So yeah, he was able, and his brain was pickled by Fox News because he watches Fox News like 24/7. So his brain was pickled in the exact same way as everybody else that watches Fox News, and so he spoke their language, and everybody was like, "Yeah, see, that's the guy." He has the MAGA movement, he has the votes, and the rest of the Republican Party does not have the votes. So yeah, the Republican Party is just trying to cozy up to him so that other people will like them as much as they like him. That he will use his incredible power and influence to help them either politically or economically, and they also want to be there for when he kicks the bucket to try to inherit the throne, to try to inherit the mantle of MAGA King idiot. And personally, I don't think that any other politician really has that juice. I think it's probably going to be Don Jr. or Ivanka that takes up the mantle, but that's my guess there. All right. Let's see here. Red Note Switch says, why did the executives invest in Meta? Why not anything else? I don't know which executives you're referring to. Catherine, what was the thing for the Electoral College? The National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. The National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. Somebody put that in the notes in the chat. The National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. Call your reps and tell them that you want your state to sign up for the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. Swedeby says, Barron heir to Trump. That is terrifying. I don't know if you heard the reports that he was fucking mutilating small animals, which is like, indicator number one that someone's going to be a serial killer. And there's also that book that people claim the time traveler wrote called like The Last American President that said that like Barron Trump was a character named Barron Trump. This is somebody who wrote a book like in the 1930s, and they just happened to call their character Barron Trump to be the last American president. So yeah, that's terrifying also. Annette Hillison, he not even old enough, but he will be one day. That's how time works, All right, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you again to everybody for all the questions, all the comments, all the likes, all the shares. JarrettBernstein.com. I will see you guys on Tuesday. Is the next time that I will be scheduled streaming. If this platform still exists on Tuesday, I guess we'll find out. But if not, then follow me on Twitch and YouTube and anywhere else that I will be able to find a streaming platform that I can get great political questions on. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Goodbye, 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 goodbye.